So, thank you, Nhien, for giving us a few minutes for discussing a little bit about the workshop. This workshop in Nordland has been the closing one for the Nordland territory and the closing one from the whole series of workshops in SeeRRI. So now with this knowledge we have of the process, could you please tell me about some takeaways you're having?
You're right. So we close all the workshop process in the SeeRRI projects, and I have to say that I'm very surprised to see how good it turned out, the outcome. So we know that we have the common approach, and we apply it to different territories. They may have different adaptation. But what surprised me is how creative when they adapt the process and they still come to the same result. For example, we have different starting point in different territories. Some territories really know what they're doing, really know the challenge from beginning. Some territories need some time to figure out what they want to solve. So it takes like even a year to find the right challenge, right problem to solve. However, after the process of SeeRRI, the outcome is very similar, which means that the territories understand how important co-creation is, and they understand how to co-create with different stakeholders from academy, policymakers, citizens, and also public sector and business. They all come together, find a way to solve the challenge in the territories, and they come back with mutual learning and sharing. To me, that is the same result with all the territories. The same process come to the same result, even the starting point is different. So I believe this model can be disseminated or applied to other regions with some, of course, adaptability to the context, but it works.
So do you think that the outcomes of today's sessions are going to be useful for addressing those challenges Nordland has in the mid to long term?
For Nordland, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, that's we really hope that happens. That's why we organize the whole process, and that's the goal and the aim from beginning. And then in order to confirm if that's the outcome that we can achieve or not, depends on how the stakeholder feels. So that's why I did some quick interview with people, stakeholders in the workshop, to see how they feel about the process and if they think there can be some change after this. And the feedback I got very positive. For example, one person that represents the county council who can actually relate it to or connect it to the policy makers and raise the voice to them. They say that this is a revolution way to create change in Norwegian society, not only Nordland. So I believe this is a very positive way that they see the process. And also there's some other stakeholder or participant that represent the society from environment. She said that it's a fantastic opportunity for her to sit down on the same table with people, policy makers that normally she has to do report now to, but now she has a chance to sit together with them and then express the concern and express the different and understanding perspective and how they can co-create and do things together. So this kind of workshop or process give them that opportunity and the chance. Therefore, with that kind of feedback, I believe it actually have changed some mindset. It's challenging, but that challenge help people to change the mindset, and that's how they can together create some good outcomes in the future for Nordland.
It looks like a change of paradigm. So taking it from there, so even when these processes are quite cumbersome, because it requires a lot of effort for people to understand, to listen, to get to conclusions that somehow, there's a way of a compromise. Do you still think it's worth the effort?
Absolutely, yes, if we do it in the right way. So, of course, if we choose the wrong actors who not really relate to the challenge, or if we have a very confusing process that people don't understand clearly the outcome, and therefore they could not cooperate, then it would not worth an effort. But if we have the right people, the right process, I believe it will work.
And well, that leads me to something, because I was thinking, these are times of emotional driven discussion. So everything needs to be emotional, polarized, and how to make this kind of events work in these times of emotions. So is it how to bring different people with different views and interests and have meaningful and useful discussions?
your question point out some very interesting concepts, emotion. And it's a time of emotion turbulence right now, right? For me, emotion is not something bad. It's a very good thing for human. To be human is to have some emotion.
It's part of what we are, right?
Exactly, that's part of what we are. So it gives us inspiration and motivation. Therefore, if we can use or channel emotion in a constructive way, to build a future, to solve a challenge, instead of being frustrated, hated or annoying, then so if this can be channeled in a constructive way, then it can be a strong effort and motivation, inspiration for people. So therefore the workshop or the process we do in here is to create a process that make people can express their feeling, their emotion, and then find a way to channel it into a constructive process that can solve territory challenge.
Good. And just as a closing question, what do you think are the key components for a successful stakeholder engagement?
Yes, from my own perspective, what I have contemplated and reflect until now, it should start with first and foremost is a worthy goal, because it's a starting point to bring people together. So inspiration, worthy goal that people can agree that it's worth to solve it, then the people can come together. And then the second element should be the right people, relevant key actors who can make a change and who care and who will do things to change. And then the third one is the good process for those right people, work together, good combination of different perspective, diversity and background and voice to bring them to the good process will help them to learn from each other, to share and to understand each other, and together they can find a solution. So I think that's the most important elements. Worthy goal, right people, good process.
It seems this is something we've done here in SeeRRI as well, right?
Yes, of course. That's what we hope for. That's what we're trying to do it, and we learn every time we organize workshop. We always have the feedback and do some small talk, interview people to understand what we can improve better. And I think continuous learning and sharing and reflection is the way to grow in life. Since I mentioned about learning, one key element in SeeRRI is transnational learning, where the territories, after finish their own challenge in the whole process in their territory, they're gonna meet together and share the lesson, learn from each other, and see how they can apply some good tips from other territories into their own territories. So that is the next step of SeeRRI.
Oh, we'll talk about this in a later interview. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Angel.